What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. If you've never been here before, please hit the subscribe button. Check out many of the videos I have up. Everybody else, welcome back. I appreciate you. For those that have never been here before, I survived 17 years straight in the New York prison system. And what we're going to talk about today is what it feels like to be trapped inside of a prison cell. Many people fear that. Many people think of the reality of being trapped inside of a prison cell and how horrific it can be. And I will say that it is a nightmare. Is it something that you can ever get used to? In one way, I say yes. You do get used to it in a way, but when you first get into that cell, you talk about the anxiety. You talk about experiencing anxiety. You talk about feeling claustrophobic. You talk about experiencing a panic attack. Um, that's what happens when you go inside of a cell. Most of the cells are approximately the same size throughout the prison system. The first prison I was in was Sing Sing Prison in Ossining, New York, which is 354 Hunter Street. It's the second oldest prison in the state of New York. Auburn Prison is the oldest prison in the state of New York. And then the prisoners from Auburn Prison went up the river to Sing Sing to build Sing Sing in the side of a mountain. That's where they got the saying, going up the river. It was for the prisoners that went up the river from Auburn to Sing Sing. So the cells in Sing Sing are extremely small because they built them small in the old days. And then that's the old cell block, and they have the new cell block. And the new cell block, the prisons, I guess a cell is about 6 foot wide by 8 feet deep. That's about the size of a cell, 6 foot by 8 foot. I mean, it's the size of it's smaller than a lot of bathrooms in America, And when that door shuts, when you hear the sound of that door, it hits home, it registers, and there's no way out of that cell. You are trapped. Um, and what's crazy is if you freak out. Let's say you freak out, you can't be in the cell, and you start screaming and yelling and going crazy. You're only going to make your situation worse. Then they'll put you in a cell and strip you of all your clothes because they may think you're suicidal, or they'll move you to a solitary cell that has absolutely nothing in it. But once you're in the cell, there's no way out of the cell. Uh, to give an example of the cell in Sing Sing, the walls were steel in Sing Sing. They weren't cement. They were steel walls, 3 steel walls, and the bars in front of you, the steel bars in front of you, and a cement floor. And it's cold. Um, there's a chill about being in the cell. There's an echo when you're inside of the cell. And the only thing you can see is what's directly in front of you, which is usually another wall. It depends what prison you're in. You can look out of your cell, and across the cell, there's other cells across the hall, or there may be a wall across the hall, or there may be a window if you're lucky where you could see outside. But when that cell door shuts, there's no way out, and the sound is incredible when it closes. And in Sing Sing, the cells were mostly painted green. These are the actual cells that I'm showing you right now. Those are Sing Sing prison cells. That's what they look like. Um, what's inside of the cell is your bed frame, which is bolted to the floor. It cannot be lifted. It cannot be broken. It is welded or bolted to the floor, and it's just a piece of steel. Um, and your mattress goes on top of it. Yeah, you get a thin plastic mattress. And when I started my prison bid, we had fabric mattresses, but then they switched to the plastic mattresses for hygiene purposes. Um, so your bed frame is bolted to the floor. You have a stainless steel toilet bolted to the floor in the back with a small sink that is on top of it. It's usually one unit. Depends what facility you're in. Some facilities have regular toilets and a separate sink. But a lot of them have this one unit, as you see right there, the toilet with the little sink on top, and only usually has cold water comes out of it, no hot water. And you sometimes get a desk, a small desk, and a small foot locker, and that's all that's in your cell. That's what you have in there. And you do have control over your light switch, which is above the sink, so you could shut your light on and off. So you have your bed frame, your toilet, your foot locker, and sometimes a desk. And there's a lot of rules to what you could have inside of your cell. But besides what you can have inside of your cell, being trapped in there, when you go in from the recreational yard at night, let's say you come in from the yard at 9 o'clock, you're locked in there until breakfast in 7 in the morning. There's no way out. You're in there alone if you're not double bunked with someone. Sometimes you double bunk with someone for the first 3 months. Depends what facility you're in. But you're in that cell and you're alone. And what do? There's many things you can do to keep busy, like reading, writing. You could have a typewriter if you want to type letters. These days they have tablets. The prisoners have tablets so they can listen to music and send emails. But they didn't have that during my time. There was no tablets. There was no emails. You were allowed to have a small Walkman with cassette tapes back then. They never allowed CDs or DVDs. You were allowed to order cassettes from the company so you could listen to some music if you wanted. Most guys get into reading. I got into a lot of reading and a lot of studying. But you lay in that bed in that cell at night, and all you can really do is think and dream. You think about the mistakes you made. You think about the things you wish you did differently. You wonder what the people you know are doing out in the free world. You wonder what your family's doing. You wonder if they're okay. If you're married and you have a wife, you're wondering if she's being good to you. You're wondering if she's okay. If you have children, I guess all you wonder is if they're safe. But you can't get out to make a phone call. If you're in the mood to make a phone call and you want to get out, you can't. You have to wait. If you need to get to the medical department, you could start screaming for an officer. And he'll call the medical department and see if they want to see you. I'll keep saying the word, you're trapped. It's really never quiet either, so it forms like an insanity inside of you. Because other people in the cells are always shouting back and forth to one another. Some of them even imagine they're playing chess with one another. You have a guy who's in 6 cell and he's playing chess with a guy who's in 26 cell. And because they can't see one another, they have their chessboards in front of them that are numbered. And they're screaming out as you're trying to sleep and rest. C5 to B8. Check. And the other guy streams back. D4. It's all right, Dusty. Even he's annoyed by the noise. Imagine that going on for hours as you're locked in your cell trying to escape, as you're locked in your cell trying to find peace. Someone's always talking and yelling, and they're talking about nonsense. They're talking about garbage. Guys on the cell, yo, what up, son? Yo, you going to the yard tonight? Yeah, yo, I'm going to the yard tonight. Yo, I'll meet you by the basketball court. They just don't know how to shut the F up. 24 hours a day. It can be 3 o'clock in the morning. Once in a while, you get a night where you wake up and everyone's asleep. Everyone's quiet. I used to wake up during those moments and embrace those moments when I would wake up in the middle of the night and there was no noise. It's very hard to explain. Even after you get used to it a little bit, even after you have been locked in a cell for a year or 2 years and it becomes your routine and human beings are able to adapt to any situation, you could adapt to it, but you never get used to it because it's just not normal to lock a person inside of a cage. Although I understand that you don't have a choice with some people. But it still tortures me until this day. I've been home for 12 years. I still lay in bed at night and feel like I'm laying in a cell. I remember laying in the cell. And when I have those thoughts, it causes me to jump up out of bed and go to the refrigerator and get something to drink. You know, when you're locked in your cell, if you have no food in your cell and you're hungry, you just have to wait till the morning. If you don't have anything to drink in your cell, you just have to wait till the morning. Yeah, the books were important. It's a cold feeling. It's a hard feeling. It's a depressing place. It's a form of torture. It is a form of torture. And I'm not saying that it wasn't well deserved for some people and that these people didn't earn it. As myself, I put myself in that position for society to lock me in a cell because unfortunately I took a man's life and I lived a crazy life. And so society said, this is where you belong. I understand that. And I deserved it. But when you get in there, nobody can get you out. Your mother can't get you out. Your father can't get you out. Your lawyer can't get you out. Nobody. And there's certain smells in the prison. And then you can go and you can decorate yourself to the best of your ability. You order towels, you hang a towel over the desk, you put a towel over the locker, you put a towel over the toilet so you don't have to see the toilet. And then you get a matching blanket to match the towels. And, you put your books up on a shelf. In some facilities, I was allowed to have a television in my cell, like Attica. You set your television up. You get commissary. You put your commissary in a bucket under your bed. So you have food, you have drinks, you have your television, you have your radio, you have your books, and you make it like a tiny little apartment. When you're doing years, I did 17 years, and you start to acquire stuff. You have a clip-on fan, so at least you have a little air movement in there. But you're still locked in a cage. One thing I never do, this may sound funny to you, but one thing I never do is go to the zoo. I don't believe in zoos because I look at the animals that are locked in a cage and I know how they feel. That may sound funny to you, but to me, it makes me emotional to see an animal locked in a cage, especially an animal that didn't do anything wrong. For human entertainment, we have taken this animal that is meant to roam free, that has known freedom, and we have taken him and put him inside of a cage. And I know he's experiencing anxiety. I know that animal is panicking. And I'm surprised that more animals don't strike back and kill the people that step inside of that cage with them. Because it's cruel and it's mean to put an animal inside of a cage that doesn't deserve it, especially one that was meant to roam free in the wilderness. I'm trying to talk in a monotone voice to you and keep it relaxed because it's a pretty intense situation. So we make the cell, we make the cage. You could call it a cell, but it's a cage. We're locked in a cage, and you make the cage as comfortable as possible with the fan and the books and the food and the radio but no matter what, you're locked in there. You're stuck. And there's a feeling of suppression There were many nights that I laid on the floor and I was holding a rope in my hands. I couldn't take it anymore. I was literally on the floor in fetal position, holding a rope in my hands, begging God for the strength to take my own life. But for some reason, he gave me the strength to endure the severity of my punishment. But many nights I wanted to give up. Anytime I was able to get out of the cell, I ran out. That was me. And imagine this, I was a hyperactive kid, very hyperactive. One of my nicknames as a kid was Home Toast. They called my brother Home Peace because my brother loved to stay in his room. He was autistic. He was a very good artist, and he liked to read books. And so my mother's boyfriend called him Home Peace, and my mother's boyfriend called me Home Toast because I popped in and out of the house like a piece of toast 1,000 times a day. And I boxed, I wrestled, I played football, I ran around the streets, I cut through the alleys, I was hanging out with my friends. I was always very hyper. I was never home. I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I didn't go to sleep until 1 o'clock in the morning. I functioned on 4 hours sleep. And I was like that my entire life, hyper. And then imagine taking this person and putting them inside of a cage and shutting the door and locking it. I was going insane. I was going insane. And so anytime the door would open, I would come out. I would come out. They call recreation in the morning, I sign up, recreation. Recreation in the afternoon, recreation in the evening, I'm out to recreation. And when I would go out there, I would burn myself out. For 17 years, I did this. I would go outside and jump onto the handball court and play as hard as I can for hours, smashing the ball, running. In the afternoon, I'd go out and pump weights, lift weights, burn myself out. In the evening, I would go out again. Handball, or more weights. This way, when I went back out into the cell, I could wash up and just try and lay down and get through the night. After many years, it's hard to say that I got used to it. Did I get used to it? Yes, I got used to it in a way. I got used to it. But it was not easy. Being locked in a prison cell is not fun. And I didn't even touch the topic of being locked in a cell 23 hours a day because I was in that position many times where I was in solitary confinement and I was in there for 23 hours a day. That damaged me forever. I have other videos about that. It may be time to do another video about solitary again soon. But that's a whole nother story. So that's what it's like, a piece of what it's like to be trapped in a cell. And imagine being trapped in there and the world is going on without you. It's like you have been removed from the world. You have been taken out of the world. And the world is still going. But you're not going. You're stagnant. Nothing changes for you. As everything is taking place out in the world and people are getting married, people are having families, people are getting careers and jobs, people are jumping on their motorcycle to take a ride or going to the beach, people are driving up to McDonald's, people are hanging out with their friends, people are going out to dinner, people are going to the bar, people are having Thanksgiving dinner, people are having Christmas dinner, people are just enjoying life. None of that happens when you're trapped in a cell. You are stagnant. You're alone. You can talk to the guy next to you in the cell next to you. Everybody hears it, but you can do that. When I was in that cell, I studied. That was my escape. When I was able to get out of the cell, I got out of the cell. But when I was locked in the cell, I studied. I studied psychology. I studied human behavior, abnormal behavior, something called logotherapy from Viktor Frankl, which is a form of psychology and searching for a meaning in life. I studied theology. I studied the Bible. I studied the Muslim Quran, the Christian Bible, the Jewish Torah, the Hebrew Torah, the Tanakh. I studied the words of Buddha. I spent decades, almost 2 decades, in books, just trying to put as much knowledge in myself as I could. That was one of my escapes. But when the door shuts, bam! That's it. You're alone. You don't want to find yourself in that situation. And the only way you'll go in there, is from your own choices and decisions, from your own negative choices and decisions. Think before you act, live the right way, stay away from the drugs, stay away from alcohol, which is the most dangerous drug, and walk right. As they say, straighten up and fly right, and you won't find yourself there. I have a live stream going on tonight, a few hours, 7 p.m. It's going to be me and my wife and I should say. And you could ask me any questions about prison, about anything that I experienced in there, anything I saw in there. You could ask me about the prison system, the way it functions, what I think needs to change, what they do wrong, what they do right. You could ask me about what it was like to come home. Anything you want related to that. I'll wrap this up for now. I'll talk to you guys later. Don't ever find yourself trapped in a cell. Take care.